Example 1, percent of a quantity. Anita brings 6 dolls to her grandmother's house. These dolls represent 20% of Anita's doll collection, as shown in the diagram. So, as you can see in our diagram, the number of dolls is being compared to the percent, and as we know, those 6 dolls represent 20% of Anita's collection, and this is shown right here on our double number line. Basically, we can see that each of these units are worth 6, and so as we count, we see there are 5 units or jumps from 0% to 100%. If each is worth 6, we can simply multiply 6 times 5 and find out that the total number of dolls in Anita's doll collection is 30. Now, another way to look at this is to set up a proportion. And we can do that by realizing that the 6 dolls is equal to 20% of Anita's collection, which we can write as a fraction, 20 over 100. So basically, we can see that we will get 30 as our answer if we simply reduce 20 hundredths to 2 tenths, and then we know that if we multiply both our numerator and denominator by 3, 10 times 3 is 30. So x would equal 30.
Example 2. The number of blueberry muffins that a baker makes each day is 40% of the total number of muffins she makes. So what that means is the blueberry muffins are just one type of muffin that baker makes each day. It's just 40% of the total muffins that she makes. Part A. On Monday, the baker makes 36 blueberry muffins. What is the total number of muffins that the baker makes on Monday? So we're comparing two things here, the blueberry muffins that she makes on Monday to the percent of the total number. So my strategy here is going to be to use a table. So I'm going to start by drawing that table and giving it some labels. So we're going to compare the number of muffins to the percent of the total. Now we know that the 36 blueberry muffins is 40% of the total. So I'm just going to put that somewhere in the table there. And what we're trying to figure out is the total number of muffins that she makes. And that total, that would be the 100%. Because it's the whole thing. So we just need to figure out how many muffins is that. Well, if we look at our table here, I'm looking at the right-hand side, the 40, and I want to get 100, and 40 doesn't go into 100 evenly. But what I can do is I can take 40 and I can divide it by 2. Because if I do that, I'll get 20. And I do know that 20 goes into 100 evenly. Now, if we divide 40 by 2, then we also need to divide 36 by 2, which would give us 18. So now we have another row in our table. Now we can take that row, and if we multiply 20 times 5, we get 100. So if we do the same thing with 18 and we multiply it by 5, we get 90. So that means that the total number of muffins that she makes on Monday is 90. And if you think about it, that makes sense because 40% is a little bit less than half. So in other words, if we take 36 and multiply it by 2, that's 72, all right? Which is a little bit less than 90. Now we could also solve this using equivalent ratios. We could start out with that 36 blueberry muffins in the 40%, Now I know that 40% means 40 per 100 or 40 over 100. And I know that the 36 blueberry muffins is just part of the whole, part of all the muffins that she's going to make. Now 36 does not go into 40 evenly, but what I can do is I can simplify this ratio on the left by dividing the top and the bottom by 10. And if we do that, we get 4 over 10 equals 36. So notice I didn't simplify it fully, but we don't need to, because we can take 4 and multiply it by 9 to get 36. And notice that 10 times 9 is 90, which is the same thing that we got in the table.
So example 2, letter B, on Tuesday, the baker makes a total of 60 muffins. How many blueberry muffins does the baker make on Tuesday? So the information that we have is that the fact that the baker makes a total of 60 muffins. That equals 100% of all the muffins. So if we were to set up a double number line, we could have muffins on top and percent down below. I know that 0% of all of the muffins are 0. I know that 100% of all the muffins in this case are 60. If we know that 40% of all the muffins are blueberries, I can create a little hash mark here representing 40%. Now what we have to do is we have to figure out how we can break down this ratio, 60 to 100, so that we can find 40%. So if I divide 100% by 5, I end up getting 20%. If I divide 60 by 5, I now have the ratio of 12 to 20%. From there, we can build it up. 20% times 2 is 40%. 12 times 2 is 24. This means that 24 of the total 60 muffins, 24 of them are blueberry because 40% of all the muffins are blueberry. We can do this problem another way. Essentially, all we're doing is just making equivalent ratios. Equivalent ratios are the same thing as equal fractions. We know that percent over 100 is equal to part over whole. So we know that 40% all over 100, so it's blueberry muffins all over the total, is equal to blueberry muffins all over the total, keeping things consistent. Blueberry muffins, total. Blueberry muffins, total. So if we know that the total muffins are 60 muffins in all, we can find the missing value. The way we're going to do that is by simplifying our left fraction. 40 over 100, when you divide both the top and bottom, the numerator and denominator, by 20, you end up getting 2/5. So I know that 2/5 is equal to something over 60. Now I see a relationship here that 5 times 12 is 60. Whatever you do to the bottom, you better do to the top. So 2 times 12 is 24. So in this case, we still reached our answer. We can find out that out of a total of 60 muffins, 24 of them are blueberry muffins.